Hi, everyone. You are here for Have Your Next Role Find You, and you are in the right place if you've applied to several roles and you just haven't gotten any interviews. You haven't had any conversations. You've been trying to connect with that next role and you're not having any luck. You could be getting lots of interviews. That could also be the problem, but you're not getting any offers. And another issue is you don't have decision makers, recruiters, you don't have those juicy opportunities reaching out to you. So that could be part of it as well. They're certainly not reaching out to you on LinkedIn. Another issue is maybe you've never had to do a job search and you find yourself in this weird place. It's like, what do I do next? What do I do now? Or you just haven't updated your LinkedIn profile in a long time. You know you need to leverage it more because it's a great tool, but you're not using it the way you should be. And lastly, I know many of you haven't maintained your connections out there. You've let them lag. You just haven't stayed in touch. You don't want to be one of those people who only reaches out when you need a job. So you are here probably for one of those reasons. And what you're going to learn today, we're going to jump right in because we have limited time. You're going to learn the fastest, easiest way to connect with that next role, okay, that fits you well. And also, too, there are many common mistakes that leaders make when they are starting that transition to that next role. And I want you to avoid those mistakes as much as possible. So you're going to learn what needs to be done before you really start your search. It's like the very first step in transitioning to that next role, and how to really market yourself versus doing a job search, because there is a difference in my opinion. And you want to cultivate your connections while you're currently employed in a role. And really, again, easily leverage LinkedIn for the power career tool that it is, because it is a great tool. And we also have a bonus strategy for you at the very end. So I want to give you an incentive. I know you've got a lot going on. We all have many things going on. But if you've been struggling in transitioning to that next role, stay until the end, because we have lots of good content jam-packed into this short session. We are going to go longer than we typically do because there is so much to cover in this very crazy job market with crazy economic times. So we want to really give you some good tools for that. And that's why that bonus strategy is at the very end. It is truly a bonus strategy. So anyway, who am I? You probably have no idea who am I. I'm Christine Graves. I'm an executive career and mindset coach. And my niche that I specialize in is working with marketing and sales leaders because they're just so good at marketing and selling something else. But then being a human being, it's hard to really help yourself. We all have blind spots. And that's why bringing in an expert to help you to market yourself and just to help you formulate a career plan that's going to work for you, that really makes a difference. So I encourage you to do that. I've made many career pivots myself, and I've done them all very smoothly because of this process that I use with my clients now. And one of my pivots was going into recruiting, and then I was able to pivot from there into human resources. But I was very successful as a recruiter for 8 years, working 100% commission. And I've seen so many different job markets throughout my lifetime. And this one is very interesting as well. But being able to pivot and make changes is really important. And I left corporate in 2018. And so just a little bit of information about me. I'm going to go ahead and move my slides too, because I realize I'm not doing it. I'm just talking. So again, this is why you showed up today. You're tired of spending all of this energy and not getting the results that you want. You really want to do more of what you love and less draining energy. Why is it so draining to find that next role? Because in the past, it would be easy for you to connect with roles, and now it's not happening. And you know that in your heart, you're meant to do more. You're meant to contribute more, and you really want to expand your impact. I love this quote. Keep in mind that to know and not do is not to not yet know. So just because you have the knowledge, if you're not taking action on it, then that knowledge is going to waste. So what if I told you that you can grow? It is possible. Would you be interested? You can definitely, even though you've been successful in your career, you can certainly grow further. It's definitely possible for you. And here are some common roadblocks. So I was talking about these: a lack of clarity. You may suffer from not being clear on your brand or how you want to use it, which is that next role. Maybe you're just taking inconsistent action. Small actions can be very powerful, but you have to apply them consistently. You may be telling yourself, I'm too busy for networking. Well, that's not going to help you transition to that next role. Maybe you have some money blocks where you're not asking for your worth, and that's a huge problem too. Sometimes fears can really hurt us as well. And there's some additional things on this list, but we have lots of roadblocks, right? So who out there can resonate with at least one of those roadblocks? I'm sure many of you can, right? But you are definitely in the right place. So regardless of what you've done before, you're here right now. You're here to get some really good information. And again, I want you to feel comfortable. What we're focused on today is to get the roadmap so that next role can easily find you, because that's how you're strategic. And we're also going to cover more that's related to that. So again, a little bit about me. As I was saying, I've helped over 100 clients individually that are leaders, because my one-on-one coaching is customized. And I am gradually expanding that, but I don't want to lose the service level. I don't want to compromise that. So that's why it's really important to provide you with a customized solution. I've been doing this for 8 years now, and I'm very proud that I haven't had to pay for any kind of ads at all, because I fully utilize LinkedIn. I have over 26,000 followers, over 25,000 connections. I'm a firm believer in utilizing LinkedIn, and I have connections in accounting and finance and human resources and marketing and sales, in all areas of leadership. So definitely, I would be a hypocrite if I have my clients using LinkedIn and I'm not using LinkedIn. So I want you to feel comfortable with that. That's important. So as I kind of touched upon earlier, and I have to keep an eye on the time too, just to make sure, we have a lot of things to cover, and we have time, but not nearly enough time to help you totally. But we're going to make the best use of our time that we have right now. And again, I am keeping an eye on the clock because I want to make sure I get you out of here in a timely fashion. So I want to make sure that you're ready. And I do need you to be present. It's really important. So you need to be here with us. Take your phone off unless you're watching this on your phone, which is quite possible. So don't do that. You need to be aware too of the ego, because the ego is going to be sneaking in. It's going to be, I already know this. That is a phrase that you need to strike out of your vocabulary. I already know this, because already that just stops you from learning and applying the knowledge. I don't want to do that. The whole stop, start, stop. Just do it yourself. Just be aware of that ego or that inner critic kind of interrupting things. I want you to have an open mind. So what prevents leaders from easily landing their next role? This is a problem. So many people experience this, and leaders definitely experience this. So yeah, they definitely do. So, oh, I'm sorry. I meant to say one other thing. I realized getting back here, I'm going to go back just a second here. Um, you need to, again, we have about 45 minutes today. We definitely have to end in that. If I can wrap up a little earlier, I'll do everything that I can to do that. But again, I have a bonus for you at the very end. And then there's going to be a way for you to take action too. So I do have those things. Make sure that you stay until the very end so you can take advantage of that bonus. So I wanted to make sure that you have that. I don't want to leave you stuck. A good coach will not leave you stuck. Will also, to be a good coach, I'm going to also have to make you uncomfortable. But if it gets you to where you need to go, then it's going to be well worth it. So just had to add that. Okay, sorry about that. Jumping around a little bit. Okay, so leaders are having a hard time connecting with their next role. What is going on here? And we have to acknowledge the elephant in the room too. There's a lot of fear, especially with the market, the job market, with what's going on with all these changes. There's tons of fear. So we need to acknowledge the fear. And we also have to be aware of our mindset and not ignore it. You can't avoid it. Okay. You have to recognize it. It's like you're going on a road trip and your inner critic is in the car with you and you can't kick it out of the car. It's in the car with you, but it doesn't have to be driving the car. You can relegate it to the back seat. Okay. But you do have to be aware of it. And also too, your mindset impacts how you feel in your body. Like if you do have an interview and you're going into that interview, but you don't feel very good, if you don't feel that confidence, it's both your mindset and your body. But you need to be aware of these things that are hindering you. And I want you to be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, are you really playing to win or are you playing to not lose? So that's the key thing. You have to play to win. Are you playing to win or are you playing to not lose? And when you're playing to not lose, you're being more reactive. So you want to make sure that you have these emotions as you're transitioning to that next role. You want to make sure you're taking courageous action, that you're confident, that you're taking consistent action, because that's going to get you results and that's going to get you the growth that you want. Okay. So that's really important. Okay. So the first step, the very, very first step in my process is reflect. Okay. And it's important. It gives you the foundation. It definitely gives you your foundation. And reflect has to do with your clarity in your brand and also to how you want to use it. Okay. Which is that next role. It's definitely what that next role is. And this is my favorite quote. When I think of brand, I think of be yourself. Everyone else is taken by Oscar Wilde. So that is something that you need to keep in mind, and you have to be true to yourself. It's very important. And this is one of my clients, Rebecca Daly. So we helped her with this, especially. This was a very important piece, and I'm going to tell you more. What she did is we helped her to have a clear direction on what her brand was and how she wanted to use it. And then in communicating it in all of her portfolio documents, because it's important that those are communicated. You have to communicate your brand clearly in your LinkedIn profile, in your resume, in a cover letter when you have to use that. And there could be some other things too that you use as part of helping you to transition to that next role. And you need to spend the time reflecting on this first before just jumping in, because you want to do more, right? You're stretched to see a bigger vision. You're called to do more. It's not just about the money. You really want to make an impact, but you have to take the time to reflect on what that looks like. So you definitely need to take that reflection time before you jump right in to your branding and to having it reflected in your LinkedIn profile and your resume. Okay. You need to have that clear direction. You're wasting a lot of time and energy if you don't start with that. So that's important. And if you're out of work or maybe you're not making the salary that you should be, that could be lost money for you as well. So I have some questions for you that I need you to consider right now. Okay, so I want you to write these down. Definitely write down these questions, because these are the questions that are going to help you to reflect and get clear on your brand. So I want you to rate how clear you are in your brand on a scale from 1 to 10. All right. The second question is, I want you to rate your clarity in your next role on a scale from 1 to 10. And you might be like, well, Christine, what do you mean by these questions? Rating yourself in how clear you are on your brand. How clearly can you describe it to other people when you're talking with people, when you meet someone at a networking function, when you're in an interview? How clearly can you describe your brand to other people? And I think of your brand as how you're invaluable to others. Why does an employer hire you to be a CMO or a CRO? Why do they do that? What is your brand? Okay. And then the second part of it is, how do you rate your clarity in that next role? And that's the how. That's how you want to use your brand. Okay. And again, it's all of these things that have to do with, what you want to do in your work. Okay. And then a final question that is important for you to understand too. And I think it really helps you to get clarity on your brand and what organization you want to be part of next, or maybe even you want to do fractional work on your own. You want to be a consultant. But you need to consider, what are your top 3 values? What are your top 3 values? Because you want to make sure that if you do decide to join an organization, are their values aligned with yours? Is it going to be a good match from that perspective? So that is a really good thing to keep in mind. Okay. And then two last questions regarding reflect. Something that, again, this has to do with common mistakes that executives make when they are getting ready to transition. And just in general, even when they're not in transition mode, I think many leaders make this mistake. And what it is, well, first of all, the question I pose to you is, when you meet with someone for the first time, do you Google them? You probably do, right? Or maybe you just go to LinkedIn. But if you Google them, Google will take you to their LinkedIn profile. Okay. So if you do that, well, when was the last time you Googled yourself? You need to have awareness of your digital profile. You really do. And so many people don't even think about that. You don't have an awareness of it. You need to, because as a former recruiter, I would definitely Google people, and I would certainly look them up on LinkedIn. I wouldn't just look on their resume. I would do those things as well. So you need to have a much greater awareness of those things. You need to own that narrative if you want to own where you're going in your work. So take steps today. Make sure to take action today and Google yourself as a start if you haven't done it in a while. So definitely do that. Yeah. All right, let's go. We are ready. Just keeping an eye on the time again, because I want to make sure that we're ending on time. All right. So our next step in this 3-part strategy is having a plan. We need a plan. Plan is the second step. And this is what connects your brand to how you want to use it. When you have a solid plan, you know what the steps are to execute. And Eric is another client of mine. He was interviewing for many opportunities, but he wasn't getting any offers before he came to me. And then once we started working together, we were able to put together more of a plan to help and land a role that he's been in now, and it's been working out great. But you need to have a plan. Because it's all about your impact. Again, clearly defining what a successful career strategy allows you to create. Okay. And again, that strategy is connecting your brand to how you want to use it, so you can make the impact that you want to make. When you don't have a plan, it's kind of chaotic. There's no roadmap. You're unsure what to prioritize. You're taking inconsistent action, and it can really create confusion, which is not helpful. And spaghetti certainly isn't a strategy. So it could be a good dinner to eat, but it's not a strategy. And when you don't have a good plan, then it's really hard to be taking action because you're unmotivated and you don't have a clear direction. And it's more like push energy. It's like you're pushing this huge stone up the mountain, and that doesn't feel good, does it? And when you have a strategy, you have a clear path that aligns with your goals. So that is, even just looking at the slide, it's so much better when you do have that strategy, that plan. And you have to keep in mind, when you do have a plan to follow, when you have proven strategies to rely upon, that helps you to take action, because action is key, right? We have to take the action. So in working with my clients, we have a plan, templates, scripts, helping you to know exactly what to do and what not to do. Oops, sorry, I went a little further. I did want to say more about plan too, because I do have some questions for you that are important as well. You're without a plan, again, you're wasting a lot of time and energy and money when you don't have that, because you're not connecting with that role. So my question for you, and please write this question down as well. Do you have a target company list? And how many, if you do have a target company list, and many job seekers do, if you are transitioning to your next role, you should have some type of target company list. But how many companies do you have on that list? Right? Most of you will have less than 40. I really recommend that you have 40. Okay. And there's a specific way to work through those, but that's what I recommend. And so that is really important. You definitely need to do that. So yeah. Okay, let's go on to the third step, is have your next role find you. Now we did reflect. We talked about reflect. We talked about plan. And now we're going to talk about connecting. Okay. Again, I'm keeping an eye on the time so I can keep us moving along. All right. So this final step of connect is the action, because a plan is worthless unless we take action. We have to execute on it. So this is the main action to take. All right. Why? Why is it the main action? Well, this has always been the constant. 70% of new roles are found through our connections. And I feel that percentage has actually increased, especially now since we have all these AI tools, and AI is just more and more dominant. And there's so many AI applications that we have, and that percentage has increased. So your connections, you really need to be connecting with people in order to have that next role find you. It's not going to happen unless you're connecting with people on a regular basis. So not giving this action the proper time and attention will cause you to have more lost time and energy and money. Another one of my clients, we were supposed to have a slide, but unfortunately we weren't able to get the slide in. But Heather was an excellent, she is on my website, her testimonial, but she tapped into her connections, and that's how she was easily able to find her next role. And she did a great job of that. So when you don't connect with your next role using your connections, you're trying to get interviews and you're trying to, get to that next role, but you're getting beat up over and over and over again because you're relying on job postings very heavily without really connecting, and you're not getting interviews. So, and you could be suffering from imposter syndrome. So your connections are like excellent leverage. There's a connection process to follow. Taking an inventory of your connections is really important. So when was the last time you downloaded your LinkedIn connections? So that is something that you should do periodically. It's kind of like spring cleaning. It's a good thing to do. So if you haven't done it in a while, you should do that. So with the connection process, there's your connections. When I'm working with my clients, I'm using my over 25,000 connections to help them. Decision makers, it's all about connecting with decision makers, because all it takes is one person to hire you in that next role. So you need to be engaging those decision makers. That's how your next role is easily going to find you. And to give you focus, that's where the target company list comes into play. And then also too, now with the LinkedIn algorithm, you also need to be posting original content. So as a leader, you have gotten to a certain level, and even if you're not a leader, everyone has pearls of wisdom that from their work experience that they can share. So you're not saying, rah, rah, how awesome am I? No, don't be thinking of you. You need to be focused on your audience and who's in LinkedIn. Think about those people that you've worked for in the past and how did you support them? What was your contribution to them? Because most likely they're going to help you to connect with that next hiring manager. They could be that next hiring manager. So by you posting original content, LinkedIn knows that your profile, that you are legit. Unfortunately, on LinkedIn, there's still a good amount of fake profiles. But the recruiters who purchase a LinkedIn recruiter seat, they're relying on LinkedIn to have real people with real profiles. So the algorithm will give you visibility when it knows that you're a real person. And it knows you're a real person when you're posting original content, not resharing someone else's post. Okay. You're posting original content. Okay. And also too, a commenting strategy, you can certainly do that as well. So that can work. Okay. So, and that really should be part of it to be well-rounded, because when you can contribute on the platform to others' posts, that's a good thing. And your connections, when you are really dialing into them and, using them to help you so that next job can easily find you, it lifts you up. It's not draining. It lifts you up and it's recalibrating for you. It helps you to realign. It helps you to feel safe. It's a safe space to create and help you connect with that next job where you can create, you can be seen, and you can also be prepared for what's next, because we can count on career challenges, right? They're never going to go away. We can always, always count on them. So we want to make sure that you're being strategic and you're setting yourself up for success. So a key question for you to ask yourself, and I'll ask you right now, how much of your day, if you are looking for that next role, if you're trying to do that transition, how often are you spending time with decision makers? How often are you working on those connection conversations? Okay, because if 70% of new roles are found through our connections, then 70% of your time has to be spent on connecting. That's how that next role is going to find you, because you've been connecting with the right people. So that's the key question. Write that question down. Again, it was, how much of your day are you spending connecting with decision makers? Okay. That's really important. You have to consider that. Okay. And this is what happens when you're not connecting. You're not taking that action. You're stuck in the job search grind with no end in sight. You're suffering from imposter syndrome because you keep on getting beat up. And there's just a lot of negativity because you're not getting the results that you want. It doesn't feel good. It's not a good place to be in at all. And if you have neglected your connections, when I start working with a client and they told me they've neglected their connections, then there are ways to repair that. There's absolutely ways to repair that and reconnect with people in a timely manner. So, but you want to make sure you're using LinkedIn for the career power tool that it is. It's a great tool. It really is. It's wonderful, but it doesn't replace conversations. It does not replace them at all. And yeah, so that's really, really important as well. So yeah, so I want to remind you of why you joined this, why you decided to watch this training, or why maybe we're going to be having a conversation. Maybe we've talked in the past, maybe we haven't talked, but you're here for a reason. And you may be very tired of applying to tons and tons of jobs and getting rejected, not really getting many interviews, or maybe you had lots of interviews and you're not receiving any offers because you're still looking for that next role. And you just feel so stuck because it's taking too long. It's taking way too long. And you know in your heart that you're meant to succeed and you're on a mission, to succeed, and you still want to contribute. You have a lot to contribute. You have a lot to bring to the table. So you have your brand, and that's how you're invaluable. So, and I know, so many people that are in job search mode that aren't getting the traction that they want to make. They're feeling burnt out. They're feeling exhaustion. And it's also having an impact on relationships and your health. It's extremely stressful. And it doesn't have to feel like this. It doesn't have to feel like this at all. So you have the good news is, or the great news is, that we do have choice. Often when we are stressed out, we forget that we have choice, but we do have choice. We definitely have choice. So the choice is, and we can just make it really simple. You always have at least two choices. Okay. So you can do nothing new, which is slower and more frustrating, and trial and error. So do the DIY approach. And that could be an ideal choice for someone who's extremely patient. I am not very patient. So I choose the easy way. And that's your other option, is to take some kind of new action. It's fun. It is challenging. It's not always perfect, but because it can be uncomfortable too, but it's new action. And typically it gets you faster results. And it's good if you're impatient and you're ready for change. So yeah. And again, you can do things the hard way if you're patient and you're willing to get the same result that you've been getting. But at the same time, how long can that go on for, right? And, who do you really want to be in the same place 3 to 6 months from now? I don't think you do. Like, even if we look at basic return on investment, I mean, you think about, you're investing your time and your energy in your search. So many of you, I'd say most of you, make over 100K. Okay. So if we just take the number 100K, because that's a round number that's easy to do math with. And if you're out of work, that's $1,900, over $1,900 per week that you're losing for every week that you go without a new role. And then per month, it's over $7,500. So then you've already spent $7,500 on your job search and your time and your energy. And then most people it's taking them at least 3 months to land that next role. So that means you're investing $23,000 into your search by doing it yourself. So you're paying yourself $23,000, yet that's not money you can use to pay your bills, right? So there's definitely an easier way to avoid this pain, because you need to take new actions to get new results versus doing the same thing over and over again. So you don't want to be doing that. It really can be easier. It definitely can be easier. So it could look more like this, more like the fast track. So, so this is my gift for you. because I said I didn't want to leave you stuck, and I'm not about leaving you stuck. I wouldn't be a good coach if I left anyone stuck. So on my calendar does fill up very quickly, and I've opened 10 slots. So there are 10 open slots, and it's just to get a LinkedIn audit and a career strategy call. So this is a gift because to you that I encourage you, you can apply for this. And this way you get my one-on-one attention, and we can talk about what your career strategy is, and also what your LinkedIn profile, what it should have. So, but this is, you don't want to be in the same place 3 to 6 months from now. I'm sure you don't. So anyway, and we're doing okay with time. We're doing really well with time. So this is good. Also, I had promised a free gift. So, well, it's a bonus gift. I don't like to say free. So, but at the same time, remember I was talking about, I wanted you to download your LinkedIn connections. If you haven't done it in a while, I have an instruction sheet for you. So, all we ask is that you give us your email. We have a Saturday morning newsletter. So we'll be giving you weekly resources and providing that to you, our resource list every Saturday. And when you provide your email to us for that resource list, then we will send you the instructions for how to download your LinkedIn connections, and you can give it to your assistant to do it for you. Okay. Or, maybe you don't have an assistant. You could always maybe outsource it to a VA, not that, or you could do it yourself. It's easy enough to do. So, but if you're super busy, I still encourage you to take the time to do this because it's very important. So we're going to drop that link in the comments for you so you can take advantage of that. And that was basically it. So, but again, I encourage you to really step outside your comfort zone because you've been working on trying to get to that new destination, to get to that next role. And if what you've been doing isn't working, then you need to do something new. You definitely need to do something new. And I encourage you to be strategic, and I encourage you to be focused on the decision maker, because there's too many job search activities that will take you away from the decision maker. But that's the last thing you need. You need to be focused on the decision maker, because all you need is one person to hire you for that next role. I don't care what level you're at. Now, granted, I talked with someone in the C-suite yesterday. It'll probably be at least a couple people, like people on the board, that would be approving your hire. But still, even more so, you have to be having the conversations with those decision makers. So, and that's the work that needs to be done. I was talking with someone earlier today, and I asked them, well, why are you going to job boards? Why are you doing that? Because she also knew that it's not the best use of her time. And she was saying, well, I just want to feel somewhat productive. It's busy work, but just because it's busy work, it doesn't mean that it works. So it doesn't, as many people are finding out. So anyway, again, I highly encourage you, grab one of these slots because they're going to go quick. You want to apply for this, and then that way we can connect with you and help you to get to where you want to go. So anyway, please leave any comments for us, and then have a wonderful weekend, and thanks for being here. Bye, everyone.